Hey everyone, today we are doing a studio hangout for artists. If you are looking to strengthen and flex your art muscle, Art Prof is the community for you. We have tutorials, critiques, and more, and it's all for free. Lauryn, what are you going to be working on during our hangout today? And I should note that it's just me and Lauryn creating, and we just have Prof Lieu here to keep the party going and help us out. And give us
I don't know about that, but I will read comments and I will moderate.
Yeah. I hope they're on a lag this time so you can actually see what we're doing. But so we've got these things, these paint pens basically from their Sennelier brand, and they're from MacPherson's. And these are super cool because I'm always looking for a 3D paint, and now I have a lot of them. So, but I've never used them before. So we're gonna have, Deepti and I are gonna have a lot of fun trying these out.
I'm super excited. I've never used I've used puffy paint when I was a kid, but I've actually never used it recently. So I'm really excited to see what happens.
But Deepti, this is not your everyday puffy paint, right? This is not like what you buy for t-shirts, is it?
I don't think so. I think it's acrylic, is it not?
Yeah, let me tell you exactly what it is. I got the goods. Sennelier Abstract Liner. It's a 3D paint liner in a squeeze bottle with an applicator tip, ideal for reliefs and contours using heavy body abstract acrylic paint. And you know what's really cool? I didn't know this, but you can refill them.
Ooh. Oh, how? How do you do that?
I don't know.
I don't know how you do that.
I think you can just pop off this top part. There's a plastic.
Oh, maybe I can find a tutorial video on exactly how to do it without breaking it.
Well, you know what else is cool is they have so many colors. So they sent us lots of colors, but there's also iridescent colors, there's fluorescent colors. And so the range of colors they have is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I really like these shiny silver and gold ones.
Yeah, I'm excited to use those. Okay, I'm noticing something with these already that you have to be careful about. You have to be careful about when you do any kind of piping with paint, is that you get air bubbles sometimes and then it goes.
I know, it already happened to me a few times. I wonder if
that's like a fart?
Yeah, I don't know if you can tell, but this little circle of blue right here is a little fart bubble.
It's totally a fart.
Well, it's up to you to turn it into a happy accident.
Right. I mean, that's going to happen with any piping material, so might as well get the surprise out of the way now.
So I'm curious, how 3D is the paint, or does it matter on how much you push out?
Lauryn, care to demonstrate?
It is, so yeah, you can do it really, really thin. I've got a little paper here. Let me get a darker color though, so you can see. I already did a little bit on here just to try it out. And you can do a very, very thin line. I actually like how detailed you can get with these. I initially thought they were going to be pretty thick, which is harder for me to work with. But so you can go anywhere from the super, super thinnest line that is definitely three-dimensional, but it's very thin, to look at that. Super thick there. Yeah. So
awesome.
It's got
Can you hold it up a little closer?
You see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's got some juiciness to it, which is pretty, heavy body acrylics. The biggest issue that I have with heavy body acrylics with piping when I try to use them is that I usually put them in a plastic bag and then try to blurp it around. But if you have any inconsistencies in the paint due to air getting into the bag or just air when you're mixing stuff up and bits of it drying and stuff like that, then it will get stuck in the little, it'll get stuck in the hole, and then it will get all blocked up, and that's terrible. And then it just, you squeeze it and then it goes like really gross. But these, I'm assuming, and so far this seems to be the case, all the paint is kind of airtight in there. It's packaged like this, so you're always going to get a consistent line, and that's very helpful.
By the way, everybody, we hope that you are hanging out in your studio and making your own work during these hangouts. And remember, after the stream, we are going to be hanging out in the Discord and post live streams. And we would love for you to post images of your personal art that you're working on. So maybe tell us in the chat what you're all working on in your own studios. I just love how diverse the community is. It's so fun to see what everybody's doing.
Ooh, this white.
So Lin is saying, want to try, where can I buy these, please? Well, if you go down to the YouTube video description below, you can find all of the website links and social media information for Savoir Faire, which is a division of MacPherson's. And we also have links to the specific supplies that Lauryn and Deepti are using. So go check those out.
I'm pretty impressed with these so far. I've only used them for a second, but I can definitely see myself doing a lot more paintings with these and buying more colors, even more colors than the ones that I have. These are very easy.
Like?
It's tiny. It's like a, oh, Deepti, what would you compare this tip to?
It's so thin. Let me see if I can get it on camera. It's like a needle. It's so thin, which is nice because you can do some like cool dotting work as well as the line work, which I think is fun to be able to do. You get a lot of control, which I really like.
Yeah, I'm loving the amount of control that you get, and it looks so fuzzy. This is making my night.
Lee is asking, how fast do they dry?
Oh, we're not there yet.
We're not sure, but I think it'll probably take, depending on how thick you're layering and stuff, at least overnight. Would you agree, Lauryn?
Yeah, I did some of this with my kids when they arrived, and they did not dry fast. They took a little while, and I think I waited overnight because I was just worried I was going to mess it up. So, yeah.
Yeah. In my experience using other acrylics in this way, it usually takes overnight. I mean, you've got a fair amount of gunk there. You don't want it to dry too quickly because then you'll run into the issue of the tip drying out and then you won't be able to use the paint. So you got to find this happy medium there.
That's a good point that I wouldn't have thought of.
So Jane says, that's so funny. Deepti is working on a deformed pick like this again. I was just thinking about that first stream where she did that. Well, Deepti, why did you decide to choose this marker drawing to add the liners to?
Well, I really like this drawing that we did, and I had done it on a live stream, so I thought it would be a nice callback to that. Also, I think I was just being lazy and I couldn't think of anything to like draw. And I was like, what do I have? But I think the whole like 3D puffy is an interesting thing to work on top of like something 2D that already exists, and you can kind of like add to it. And because I feel like I'm like, this is the very first time I'm opening any of these, I think a lot of it is just experimenting and seeing like how they come out and what happens. So I wanted to pick something that I liked and I saw potential with moving forward, but also that I didn't feel too like married to or something like that. But I think, yeah, like both Lauryn and I are working with underpaintings, which I think is nice to work on top of, because it's hard to get like big washes. Like I can't imagine what Lauryn has as an underpainting could be done with these puffy paint. Lauryn, could you?
Yeah, it's really meant for detail kinds of work. I had to just use my regular paints to do my underpainting first. If you guys can't tell, I'm doing my kitchen sink, which is full of dishes. I've been doing a series of these paintings, but I thought it would be hilarious to do one in this puffy paint. And yeah, my goal is to try and fill everything in. I don't know how well it's going to work, but I'm going to try.
So STEM is saying, how does the underpainting affect the final output? I mean, I think one of the nice things about the underpainting is that whatever you put over it, it's a reaction. And sometimes you actually get little bits of the underpainting showing through the top layer, and you can get beautiful color combinations that you ordinarily wouldn't get. So if you haven't tried underpainting before, I highly recommend it. It can be really helpful.
Yeah, underpainting makes a good guide too. So really, I'm just playing with all these textures. I'm almost filling things in, kind of like Deepti, even though it's not as, yours has more colors and things going on right now.
I don't have any plan. I'm just kind of using every single color provided to me and having fun with it.
Lauryn, how come your kitchen sink is so pretty? My kitchen sink is hideous.
Because I've got good taste in dishes and none of my dishes match.
Are you saying I have bad taste in dishes?
Maybe. I don't know. I haven't seen your dishes, Clara.
Actually, I did something really dumb tonight in the kitchen. So I was all on top of it, and I cooked dinner early because I knew I was doing the stream, and I was so proud of myself. And I figured out later, as I was putting the biscuit into the chicken pot pie, I was like, that kind of looks like a lot of butter. Like, I was almost done with it. And I looked later, I put in double the amount of butter that I was supposed to. Because I looked at the recipe and it said a half cup of watercress underneath the butter. And I just went, oh, half cup of butter. When really I should have had a quarter cup. And I'm just like horrified. So we have this like really buttery chicken pot right now.
It probably tastes amazing.
Yeah, that's a feature, not a bug. I would totally
So
eat
Leslie is asking, is this the same puff paint that used to be used years ago on clothes? It's not. It's different in that it's heavy body acrylic paint. And I think you'll find that it's a little bit more refined than the puffy paint, at least the stuff that I used to use. And also, I do think the color is way more concentrated and brilliant compared to the puffy paints I've used. So it's similar in that it's 3D, it comes out of that little spout, but I think the actual paint itself is quite different.
I would agree with that.
Tali is asking for Deepti, what type of animation do you do full time? Stop motion or traditional animation?
I do it all, but mostly I do like 2D hand-drawn animation, and I do a lot of motion graphic stuff. But I freelance, so anytime a project comes to me, I kind of tailor it to the client's needs and what would work best with the budget and stuff. So I am a jack of all trades when it comes to animation. I can do many, many things, but I work with what the client needs and what they're looking for. And the great thing about being an artist in an artist community is that if I can't do it, I definitely know 10 people who can.
Okay, I feel a lot better. Fab Geek says, Julia Child says you can never have too much butter. Okay, now I'm not such a horrible person. Although, the other great thing I once did, well, great in quotation marks, I once made banana bread and I didn't put sugar into the recipe.
That's really the worst. Or like if you put too much salt.
It was so gross.
Too much salt is really the one that I feel like is just like, how do you fix that?
Yeah, you can come back from the dead with any of those other things, but salt, You gotta throw the rest out.
So Leslie says, I'm excited to add more dimension to my work when I'm able to work traditionally. Well, I feel like what you're both doing right now, it's almost like you're making a sculptural relief, even though you're using
Yes.
paints. I mean, it doesn't really feel the same as traditional painting with a brush.
No, not at all. Like even now I'm like discovering like cool like bumpy textures I can do and stuff. And I'm curious like when this starts to dry layering, because I actually have a part right here that like this paint kind of layers on top of each other pretty nicely.
Yeah, it does. I'm noticing that too.
Deepti, what's the
So
biggest blob you can make?
The biggest blob I can make? Where would I make that?
I don't know. Give yourself a wart.
Okay. What color should my wart be? I mean, I could probably make a never-ending. I don't want to waste paint, but I'll make a big wart. What color should it be? Red?
That's too bright. Do something like yellow ochre.
Yellow ochre?
Or that weird green color that Lauryn's using.
I don't have that color.
It's so bright. Really? Did we get different colors?
I think so. I don't have that one.
That's so strange.
Okay, fine. I'll do a big blob here with yellow. You just want me to like keep squeezing it out?
Well, I just want to see how like wide it can go.
Oh, I see. Okay. Where should I do it then so you could see? What if I have
almost like a pastry bag, you know, how much it could squeeze outwards?
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see. Understood. I've understood the assignment. Let's see.
So we have a tech question from Sennelier who says, if you mess up, can you wipe it off? You want to try that, Lauryn?
I did already on the test, and it just makes a regular acrylic mark. So I'm going to put that as a, not really. I would just put more paint on top of the previous paint.
There's my wart.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's perfect.
Oh, that is so 3D.
Yeah, I'm going to go around it now.
Yes.
Actually,
yeah, that's pretty intense.
Yeah, I wish I could hold this up sideways, but I don't want to ruin my framing.
Ariel says, that kind of painting looks really fun. I'm too tired to make any art tonight, so I'm just laying here and getting inspired. You know, there's so many times when this guilt thing about I have to be making art all the time. Don't do it to yourselves. Let yourselves rest and get that time away. And when you come back, you're going to feel better.
Can't take time off, Clara. Can't do it. There's still school.
Well, yeah. When you're in school, you don't really have a lot of choice.
Gotta go till the end.
Soyton says, sounds like Clara likes directing other artists as much as doing the work herself. I just like being in charge. I can't help it. Like, even when I step back, I'm like, I don't want the responsibility. I'm just going to step back. It bothers me. It's so dumb.
Okay, another observation about these paints. So one thing about them not drying is that you have to be cognizant of your
hand
position. Yes.
Yeah, I've also been noticing that.
Which is why, Clara, I've been working on the right side of the page, because I know I won't be able to go back over anything. I'm left-handed, so I'm starting on the right side. Otherwise, I'll get paint all over.
Kat has a whole system for her dip pen drawings, because when you're right-handed, you have to start in the upper left-hand corner and move down.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm just decorating a cake.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
me too.
Leslie says, thank you for saying it. I feel terrible if I'm not actually creating, even when I'm doing the research stage. Do you ever get that guilt, Deepti?
Yeah, but I think it becomes easier as you get older, and sometimes I'm just like, I just have to do something that pays the bills, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And you also start realizing like what burnout is and stuff like that. Like I started realizing that like taking time off and naps really did help when I was like actually in work mode. So eventually you find what works for you. It's different for everyone.
Well, burnout is not pretty. It is really bad. And once
Yeah.
you get there, you can't fix it quickly. It's like you almost have to take off more time if you burn out than if you just took the break to begin with.
Yeah, burnout's hard to recover from.
Well, so Rachel says, I found when I pushed myself to make stuff when I was out of creativity, it left me in a bad burnout. The hardest but best thing to do is to give it time to rest and try again in small steps. I think it's just none of us like doing things incrementally. I think we all want that like satisfaction and whoa, the big leap, right? Nobody wants to do bit by bit. It's so boring, but that's the way so many things are.
Whoa, Deepti, I like what you did to that wart. It looks like an alien.
This looks like I'm so excited to see what it looks like from like sideways once I'm done with it because I'm really starting to go vertical now, which is fun.
Oh, you got to take some shots from the side so we can see how 3D it is later in the Discord.
Yes, maybe right before we end the stream too, I'll try and like hold it up.
Jennifer says, got sick on Monday on my birthday. Oh, that's such a bummer. And I've been feeling guilty for being too tired for art. Oh, we all need to give ourselves a break because the guilt does not feel good.
Guilt doesn't help.
But the thing is, it's like, I know I shouldn't, but I still do. That's what's dumb about it.
Yeah. I think it still helps to hear from other artists that they either also feel guilty or they also believe in breaks.
I don't know. I just feel like a big hypocrite because I'm here like dishing out advice and then I like cannot do my own advice. It's just really silly.
That's why we're here. We remind you to take your own advice.
Wow, playing with it vertical is really fun.
What
I'm
do you
now
mean
doing a lot of
vertical?
warts. Like instead of doing lines, I'm doing like swirls, like almost like little poops. And it's really
So
fun.
I guess this is the pooping farting paint.
It
It
is.
really is.
If you like poops and farts, this medium's for you.
This medium is for my younger kid because you know something? I really thought that the whole butt thing was gonna trail off. Butts are still hilarious, even when
Oh
you're
my
12.
God. Ooh, yeah, you can get a really big vertical thing going on.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I really like the warts, Deepti.
Me too. I think she's going to be a warty one, this one.
Oh.
So we have a question from Leslie. If you're having a block, what do you do to re-inspire yourself? Do you take this as a time for a quote break? And how long do you give yourself for the break? Lauryn, any tips?
Well, yeah, I think that your body really decides how much of break time you need. I feel like it's hard to dictate it. I'd start with, I think a week is a good amount of starting time for a reset. But sometimes people need to take months or even years off of making their work, and that's okay too.
Yeah, everyone's different. Everyone has their own stuff going on, and everyone's path is different. So you really have to not think about what others are doing and figure out what works best for you.
Yeah.
And it's okay to try and dip back into it and then realize maybe now wasn't the right time and take more time off. Like, it's all a learning process.
Mm-hmm.
The longest break I ever took was 2 years because I did these 2 solo shows and I was so burnt out. It was not a good experience. I did not feel like I gained a lot from those experiences. And I was so miserable. I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this again until it's fun because it just stinks to do it and have it be a chore. And that's what it had become. And so I just worked on Art Prof and I didn't do any studio stuff. And then when I did get back to the studio stuff, I was so ready. And I was like, this is awesome. I actually like it. It's sort of really depressing when you're doing the thing you're supposed to like and you don't like it. That's really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Blue Wolf says, at 60, farts are still funny. Well, thank you. I'm glad to know that we're still going to be thinking about farts when my kid is 45.
Oof, I made a wall that's too tall, and now I'm trying to figure out how to paint underneath it. This is so tall.
Ivana says, do you believe in reposting pieces on Instagram? I don't want my favorite pieces to get lost at the bottom of my feed. Any tips, Deepti?
I'm assuming they mean reposting your own like your own artwork. Yeah, I do that all the time. Sometimes I'll make something 2 years ago that I'm a huge fan of, and then I just want to. I think that's a good way sometimes of like keeping your feed active. Also, you know, I remember I reposted this thing that I had made like in 2017 at the beginning of the pandemic in New York, so like early 2020, and someone actually my friends now, these people saw that and they hired me to make a music video for them, like based off of that
Really?
animation. Yeah.
That's
Because I had like
really
reposted
cool.
it and like added all the hashtags and stuff, and it just the timing worked out and it was what they were looking for. But if I hadn't reposted it, you know, it wouldn't have shown up on their search. So I think it's a good idea. I like it. I like it a lot.
You know what you can do, Ivana, is you can do Throwback Thursday, and then it doesn't feel like a, quote, repost. I mean, I'm sorry to be depressing, but it's all about the packaging. And also, there are people who haven't been following you that long. Like, there are a lot of people here at Art Prof, they just discovered us a couple months ago. And so there's actually a lot of our content that they're not familiar with. And so what I've been doing actually is cutting shorter versions of our live streams because it's also helpful for people who don't want to watch really long streams. So yeah, I mean, you can almost recycle things, but if you format them just a little bit differently, it can be very helpful. Lauryn, have you done that?
Yeah, I do that occasionally, especially if it's been years and something speaks to me again. I mean, I don't post nearly as much as I used to, just because I don't need to share everything that I'm doing all the time. So occasionally, if it's been a really long time and I don't feel like posting anything currently in my studio, I will take something that's old and bring it back.
So Jane is asking, anyone else lose things in their art spaces? We finished a part of the basement to be an art collectibles room, and I can't find the supplies I'm looking for. And here I thought I was so organized. Oh my gosh, Jane. The other day, we were looking for an X-Acto knife. I am not joking that we like tore down this shelf of box. We could not find it. Like, I can never find anything. This is the story of my life.
Yeah, I need
X-Acto knives. Go ahead.
I need to be more organized for sure.
I feel like X-Acto knives and scissors are always going missing. Those are the first things to be gone.
I don't know. It's always the thing that I need right now that goes lost. You know, it's like it just went for a walk. I'm like, thanks. I know I have this thing. I don't know where it is. So Contemporary Sumera says, for the December Art Dare, do we have to create 20 pieces that are completely resolved? I'm currently brainstorming. I really like how the sketch is looking, but would that be counted as the one of 20 pieces? Yeah, I mean, you can do super quick sketches. You could do 20 gesture drawings and each one is a minute long. They don't have to be full out polished pieces. It's however you want to take it. In fact, sometimes it's fun to do it as just a quick run of gesture drawings. But yeah, if you want to do something more polished, that's fine as well. Chauncey is saying, what was the longest time you took in creating an artwork? I have an unfinished oil painting, which is almost 3 years old. How about you, Deepti?
Ooh, probably my RISD senior thesis film. It took me a year to make that. That's probably the longest I've ever. What about you, Lauryn?
Now that you bring up films, yeah, the film that Eloise and I did took over 3 years.
Whoa.
Take a long time to do. I don't know how you can do animation, at least patience-wise.
Oh, I have no patience for that.
Number one for animation is patience.
Well, so Chauncey, I don't know if you mean what's the longest time you've let something sit? Because although I'm sort of surprised that I've been going back to some old pieces lately, which I never used to do. Like I had these self-portraits from 2012 and I started scraping at them last summer. They're on my Instagram highlights if you want to take a look. But Lauryn, you got me into that because you were like, cannibalize your artwork. I'm like, okay.
I love that you got that from me because that's actually from Sonia, who always tells me to cannibalize my artwork because I never do. So you took the advice that I myself do not take.
It's all coming full circle.
Yep.
Tali says, Deepti, have you ever used your animation to teach a topic or as a teaching tool?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Like I've taught animation before and definitely used my animations as an example because a lot of what I do is very like sporadic and spur of the moment and improvisational. So I think that like a lot of my animation can be used as a good example of just like sketching through animation. If that answers your question.
You know, you should look up, Tali. Is it Schoolhouse Rock? The animation that taught people about like, this is the Constitution. And they would like sing all these songs. And there's a lot of examples of that. Or even Sesame Street was all short animated sequences to teach people about letters and numbers. So I would definitely look at that because there's some really cool animation in those old school Sesame Street episodes. Ivana is asking, do you put your website on your Instagram bio or should you just put your Instagram on your website or both? People have different ways of doing that. Sometimes I will change the link on my Instagram bio because I want to direct people to something. Like when we were fundraising for Art Prof, I changed the link to our Patreon and then I changed it back. And some people have Linktree. Don't you have that, Deepti?
Yeah, I have Linktree because that just allows you to like post like a bunch of things in your bio. But like in general, I think it's always good to just have like as many ways of linking people back to your spaces as possible. Like I think you should always like link everything everywhere. Because you want people to see your work, and like Instagram is a totally different like way of presenting yourself than your website. And I think sending people, to both places is a good idea.
I will say though, if you don't have a lot of time and you're wondering which should I have, Instagram versus a website, I think Instagram is more important because that's where you get engagement with your audience. I mean, you should have a website ideally, but I'm just saying that if you're just getting started, Instagram is more helpful because a website doesn't get daily traffic the way an Instagram account would.
Interesting.
I mean, like, Deepti, how many times have I visited your website? Like the one time I was looking for your artist statement, you know, like I don't visit it like regularly, but I look at your Instagram whenever I check.
I don't update my website, which is bad, but because I pay for it, but I should. But yeah, I mean, I like get so much work even through Instagram. I don't know if I've ever gotten work through my website.
Yeah,
I don't even
same.
know why I have a website now that we're talking about this.
I mean, it's a good record. It's like a library for people to go and find past work really easily, and it looks more pro. It's like having things in the archive. It basically is an archive. Clara, I think you call it an archive, right?
It's a file cabinet.
Yeah.
It's your taxes that you should not get rid of.
I haven't updated my
Ayane's
website.
looking at your website now, Deepti. You better update it.
Oh God.
I mean, I haven't updated my website in forever and ever and ever. It's super.
Don't look at my website. Go to my Instagram. It's right here. That's where it is.
Seven Angelic says, I'm super loving Lauryn's dishes. I feel like I could put my hands in there and clink them around.
Yes! That's what I want. Thank you. There's so, like, I don't know if you can't tell very well from this webcam situation, but there is thickness going on here. It's so intense. And also this area here, it's a little bleached out. It's very green. So I can't wait to take a picture of this because it's so crazy.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited to take some photos because like these little warts on my face are pretty high up, like maybe like a quarter of an inch, half an inch even.
Wow. Wow, that's so high.
Yeah, I've just been building.
That's awesome. Chauncey says, how do you deal with minor stains or mold on your oil paintings? Does rubbing alcohol in water work? That would probably be a question for an art restorer. I don't know exactly what you would use. Do you know, Lauryn?
Nope, I've never had that happen to me. Definitely ask an archivist.
I mean, I guess it also depends on what the stain is from. So yeah, you have to ask somebody who specializes in conservation.
Going back to the Instagram versus website conversation, another reason I really like Instagram is because not only do you get to interact with people, like I posted something for my birthday the other day, and this girl who watches Art Prof wished me a happy birthday and was like, I really like your art and stuff. And I was like, this is so nice that I get to like say thank you and like talk to someone. But you also get to do that. Like you get to be the person that reaches out to people and like can chat with them, but then also have that, like they can easily just click on your profile and go see your work, you know, whereas like your website doesn't really give you that sense of like interaction and that two-way street. Like I can go message someone that I admire on Instagram and be like, I really like your work, and maybe they'll follow me back.
Also, don't you think sending somebody an Instagram DM is a little bit less intimidating?
Oh, for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, this is a good question. Seven Angelic says, I'd be interested to see how dimensional they stay once they dry. Yeah, because there are certain acrylics that sometimes they shrink if you make them too thick.
Yeah, these seem to be holding up pretty well so far. I'm impressed. My other wall here is not fallen down. It's still hanging in there.
Yeah, they're hanging in pretty well for me.
Yeah, this is, I want to use these more. I probably need to figure out a better situation on how to do all of this without getting my hands all gooey, but I think this has got lots of potential.
Yeah, I've definitely almost like knocked over one of my towers by like just smearing it. It's stressing me out a little.
I mean, then it's screwed up once you mess it up. Like, it's not easy to fix. It's high stakes.
Lauryn, I love the way that pink underpainting is going. That's so
Yeah.
cool. Like that turquoisey color on top of the pink is totally electric.
It's so vibrating right now, Clara. I wish you could see it outside of the webcam.
I know. Well, I'm going to look at it later on Discord.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone who's wishing me a happy birthday.
Yeah, when was your birthday, Deepti?
It was last Friday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Did you have fun?
I did. I was in Vermont with no cell phone signal. My only wish for that day was to not do any work, and I did not do any work. So my wish came true.
That's truly an adult birthday.
I know. I was like, please, no emails, no phone calls, nothing. I just want to.
You didn't go clubbing? You didn't have a night on the town?
No, I was in the middle of nowhere. It snowed, actually, which was really nice. Yeah, it like snowed the whole day, and we went on a little snowy walk. I did not go clubbing. My body cannot handle clubbing.
Ayane says, I saw how that painting looked on your Instagram before, Deepti. You're so confident to be able to do that. I always get too precious with my pieces. I think that's very common. A lot of us, especially if you like how a piece is coming, it makes you less and less likely to be bold or experimental. I mean, do you have any tips for that, Deepti? Because I think it does make you a little timid when you're worried about that.
I think what helped with this piece was that I like did it on a stream, and I feel like I'm at a point where I'm confident enough with my skills where I'm like, I know I can create something like this again. Like what I did with the markers felt under the umbrella of like something that was kind of tame for me. It didn't feel like something where I was like, oh my God, look what I did. So I was like, I know that this is something that I can do again. Like if I ever wanted a marker self-portrait. So also because I did it on a stream, it wasn't like a precious piece of thing I spent like a whole day creating. I did it, on a stream. So if you just find ways that help you remove that sense of like preciousness. For me, it's like doing things on a stream or doing things under a time restriction or doing things that are in a medium that feels comfortable to me. And those always help. That always helps.
Ah, sorry.
You sound like me in the kitchen. I'm always like,
it's just surprising me. It keeps giving me like goop.
It's farting.
It's farting. It's farting so hard.
Elrica Fred says, during streaming, I was drawing with pastels on very smooth paper. How can I save it? Only fixative. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, soft pastels are a huge pain for that reason. They're just extremely fragile. The only way to 100% protect it is to put it under glass, which is just not very convenient for a lot of people. So you can use fixative. I sometimes put a sheet of newsprint over it, so that way it's not like back to back against another drawing. But yeah, it's a problem for a lot of people. Ayane says, good advice. Time restrictions especially can help me to segment out work. Another thing that helps is if you try to up your productivity, not necessarily making more work, but if you spend less time on your pieces and you make, say, 10 pieces instead of 5, it just makes you less precious because you're like, I got 10. But if you only have 2, then you're going to be super, because I only have 2. If I ruin them, I'm screwed. So sometimes if you can find a way to just increase the quantity, that can be very helpful.
Lauryn, do you feel your hands getting tired from squeezing?
Yeah, I'm using 2 hands instead of 1 hand now.
I know, me too.
It hurts. I've got weak hands.
Apparently me too. I didn't know this about myself until just now.
Lauryn, you're always telling me that you have noodle arms.
I do. Well, I've got less noodle arms now because I've been swimming.
Oh.
I got well, buff arms for me now. They're just, you can call them eel arms. I got eel arms now, not noodle arms.
I hope that you will all join Deepti and Lauryn in our Discord and join them in post live streams. Show us the work that you were making during the Hangout. The invite link is in the YouTube video description below. And we want to give a big thank you to our top Patreon supporters. We are getting towards our $6,000 goal, but we're not quite there yet. And so we need your help to keep Art Prof 100% free and accessible. And when you become a Patreon supporter, you get lots of perks and rewards. So check that out. Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll see you next time. Bye.